Have you ever wondered if what you do silently in the comfort of your room may actually be putting your health at risk? What if I told you that masturbation, something so common and often necessary to maintain male well-being, may be silently harming the health of thousands of men after age 60? Does it look exaggeration? Because you know it is not. Many men above 60 continue to practice masturbation as a way of relieving stress, maintaining sexual function active, or simply for pleasure. And this is not a problem in itself. The danger is in the mistakes that most make without realizing it. According to urologists, these wrong habits, repeatedly repeated, can cause inflammation in the prostate, increase the risk of erectile dysfunction, interfere with sleep quality, and even generate annoying urinary symptoms, all silently. And here is the warning. Over 90% of men over 60 make at least one of these mistakes and keep doing it thinking it's okay, but it is not. Male health, especially after 60, requires extra attention. Small attitudes repeated daily can have serious consequences over time. If you feel your energy is smaller, if libido is no longer the same, or if you have noticed discrete changes in your urine or sexual performance, you may be where you least imagine. This conversation may seem uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Because what many men do without guidance, guided by ancient myths or ashamed to seek reliable information, can end up becoming a true enemy of prostatic health. We are talking about a phase of life where the body no longer responds as before, and continuing by repeating old errors only accelerates physical and hormonal wear. And attention, masturbation itself is not the villain. The problem is the form, the frequency, the stimuli used, the emotional context, and even the posture you adopt. All of this directly influences your health, especially the prostate, bladder, and reproductive system as a whole. Throughout my experience with hundreds of senior men, I realized something in common. Many avoid talking about it, but when they find out that these mistakes exist, they are shocked. Some even feel guilty, but the fault does not solve anything. What it solves is correct information, medical advice, and simple changes in everyday life. Therefore, in this video, I will show you the 7 main masturbation errors made by men above 60. Errors that seem harmless, but may be harming your prostate, reducing your testosterone, disrupting your sleep, and even worsening your urinary health. You will understand why some habits that were once normal to you today require adjustments. And most importantly, I will show you what to do to correct this. Keep your health up to date and keep living with pleasure and vitality, without guilt, without taboo, and with the backing of science. Now it honestly answers me. Are you sure you are doing it the right way? Is that routine habit, which seems harmless, is not precisely contributing to the tiredness you feel, to the frequent trips to the bathroom, or the fall in sexual desire? If any of these questions made sense to you, stay with me until the end of this video, because what you will find out can be the first step in completely changing your male health and helping other men do the same. Let's start with the first mistake. But before revealing these mistakes, I want to ask you something very simple and extremely important for the growth of this channel and for this content to continue to more men like you. If any part of this introduction has already made you reflect, leave your like down here. This shows YouTube that this content is relevant and that more people need to see it. It costs nothing to you, but it makes a huge difference to the health of thousands of men who still live in the dark without information. And take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel right now. Here we talk bluntly about what no one has the courage to address: male health, prostate, libido, testosterone, healing habits, and habits that get sick. It is direct, practical content based on science and the real experience of those who have been taking care of men for years. Oh, and there is more. I really want to know your opinion. Tell me here in the comments. Have you ever stopped to think that masturbation could affect your health after 60? Have you ever felt any physical or emotional difference related to this? Do you often practice? Do you feel guilty, shame, or do you face it naturally? Share your experience down here, without taboo, without judgment. You can be sure that your story will help other men feel less alone on this journey. Your interaction here in the comments not only strengthens our community, but it also helps me to create even more accurate and useful for you. Each comment, each like, and each new inscription shows that there is an army of mature men willing to live with more quality, more awareness, and more health. Now, let's dive into the first silent mistake that may be hurting your prostate without you realize. And I guarantee, you won't believe in number 3. It's not the act itself. It's what you're doing wrong that you are putting your health at risk. And I know this phrase may seem heavy, too straight, but it needs to be told. Masturbation, when done with awareness and within a healthy context, can be beneficial to the body and mind of mature man. But the reality is that many men over 60 are practicing unconscious, automatic, and above all, harmful. And that's exactly where the danger lives. The male body after 60 has undergone several transformations. Testosterone no longer circulates with the same force as before. Tissues lose elasticity. The prostate tends to increase naturally with age, and in many cases, urinary difficulties, sexual dysfunctions, and symptoms that were previously imperceptible. When masturbation enters this scenario as a poorly oriented practice, without knowledge of risks, which was supposed to be a moment of relief and pleasure, can become an aggravating factor for serious problems. Have you ever felt pain in the pelvic region and couldn't explain why? Have you noticed a heavy sensation in the lower abdomen? Have you woke up several times at night with a desire to urinate or noticed that the jet is weaker, that it takes to leave, or that you need to push? For know that all this can have direct connection with how you are masturbating. The problem is not the act itself, I repeat. It is the form, the frequency, the stimuli you use, the emotional context, the rush, the guilt. There are several details that add up and can directly affect your prostatic health. Many men, because they do not have an active sex life with partner, end up taking refuge in masturbation as the only way to maintain some contact with their sexuality. And this is understandable. But what happens in practice is that without realizing it, they repeat addictive behaviors. Quick, mechanical masturbations, always made with extreme pornography, in bad positions for the body, without lubrication, often in haste or anxiety. This pattern, repeated for months or years, has real consequences. The prostate, when overloaded by frequent and poorly conducted stimuli, may ignite. To this inflammation we call prostatitis, and it may be silent or cause symptoms such as urinating, pain when ejaculating, constant pelvic discomfort, and, in some cases, low fever. Now imagine living with this for weeks or months, not knowing that the root of the problem may be in a habit you don't even question. In addition, there is an important detail. The male brain responds to masturbation with the release of a series of chemicals such as dopamine and prolactin. After 60, this chemical equilibrium is already naturally altered, and excessive stimulation can generate a disproportionate response. Fall in libido, discouragement, loss of sexual interest, and even symptoms similar to depression. In other words, you begin to feel less will, less pleasure, less energy, and all of this by repeating a habit without paying attention to the body. Not to mention insomnia. Yes, wrong masturbation, especially at night, can interfere with your sleep. A lot of people believe it helps to relax, but if it is done guilty, anxiety with heavy or repetitive visual stimuli, it can actually generate mental agitation. The brain goes into a state of excitement and, instead of relaxing, remains on alert. Result: difficulty sleeping, light sleep, waking up several times at dawn, and then a vicious cycle begins. Tiredness, stress, more masturbation to relieve tension, more insomnia, and there is more. Masturbation made with exaggerated visual stimuli such as extreme pornography causes a direct impact on the way the brain deals with pleasure. Many men have difficulty feeling excitement in real situations, with real touches, with real partners. This generates frustration, sense of impotence, low self-esteem, and isolation. The man begins to avoid relationships, begins to feel too old, unable, and again, unknowingly, it is feeding a negative emotional cycle that can affect your physical and mental health. At 60, 65, 70 years old, the body requires more awareness. You can no longer act as at 20 on automatic. The health of prostate, bladder, heart, hormones, mind, everything is more sensitive. Therefore, it is essential to look at your habits carefully, and masturbation needs to enter this analysis. It is not because it is an intimate, silent theme that must be ignored. Quite the opposite. It's just at a timely being an intimate behavior, which often no one comments that we need to talk about it responsibly. Have you ever wondered how many times a week has masturbated? Have you reflected on how you do this? At what position? With what stimulus? What kind of thought? Have you used lubricant? Have you been urinated later? Does it make sense of any discomfort after the act? Have you noticed changes in your energy, your disposal, your sexual desire? If you never stop to think about it, it may be time to watch more carefully. Because masturbation is not just an escape, it is a reflection of your relationship with yourself. And at this stage of life, everything you do with your body matters. Each habit counts. Each little detail impacts your health. And attention, this is no reason for shame. None. Shame is living badly for lack of information. Shame is getting sick by ignoring signs of one's body. Shame is to stop seeking knowledge by taboo. Here our goal is to break these taboos and talk about male health clearly, with truth, with welcome. It doesn't matter if you are 60, 70, or 80 years. It is always time to learn and improve. That's why this video exists. To show you that it is possible to change, correct silent errors, and recover control of your intimate health and vitality. And if you are here with me, it is because you are committed to it. It is looking for more than passing relief. It is seeking knowledge, balance, and quality of life. Now, before going to the next point, I want to invite you to actively participate here in the comments. I want to know about you. Have you already suspected that masturbation could be affecting your health in some way? Have you ever felt any different symptoms and thought you could have a relationship? Comment down here with the word consciousness if you have noticed something important so far, or with the phrase, "I want to learn more," if you feel that this content is really helping you. This helps me understand how I can continue to produce videos that really touch your pain and bring practical solutions to your daily life. Now that you already understand that masturbation is not the villain, but that the way it is practiced can have serious consequences for male health after 60, it's time to deepen even more. Let's talk about the 7 most common mistakes made by mature men during masturbation. And here I want you to be honest with yourself. It is not to blame, nor judge. It is to observe, identify, and especially correct. Because if you keep repeating these mistakes, it may be hurting your prostate, your libido, your urine, your quality of life, all in silence, without realizing it, as with most men in this stage of life. The first error is excessive frequency without recovery. Daily masturbation, especially when done with haste, tension, or pure anxiety, can ignite the prostate. The prostatic gland is sensitive, and, with the advance of age, it becomes even more vulnerable. When there is constant and repeated stimulus, without the body having time to recover, prostate tissue may suffer microtraumas, generating light but continuous inflammation that accumulate over time. It's like a dripping tap. Every drop seems harmless, but at the end of the month you realize the damage it caused. The same logic applies here. The excess, even if it seems harmless in one day, becomes dangerous when it becomes routine. The ideal frequency varies from man to man, but after 60, the body gives clear signs that it needs more time to compose itself. If you feel pain, discomfort, burning, or heavy sensation in the pelvic region after masturbating, it may be a clear warning from your body. The second mistake is the wrong posture during the act. It may seem silly, but the way you position yourself to masturbate directly influences the circulation of the pelvic region. Many men do this sitting for long periods, leaning forward, with pressure on the perineum, an area that includes the prostate. This constant compression decreases blood flow, and a compromised blood flow is a direct enemy of prostate health. In addition, inadequate postures can cause muscle tension in the lower back, which affects mobility and overall well-being. Male health is not limited to sexual function. It is directly linked to the way you treat your body as a whole. Adopting more ergonomic postures, avoiding prolonged compression, and seeking physical comfort during masturbation may seem like a small detail, but it makes all the difference over the years. The third error is the use of stressful environments and stimuli, such as intense pornography. Pornography, especially highly stimulating and unrealistic videos, conditions the brain to artificial arousal patterns. The brain, after 60, no longer responds in the same way as at 20. And when you expose it, repeats it. An exaggerated visual stimuli, it ends up unlearning to be excited by the natural. This can generate a picture called psychogenic erectile dysfunction, where man can only be pleasure if he is under a specific type of stimulus, often exaggerated or impractical in real life. In addition, the use of pornography is strongly linked to excessive release of dopamine, which deregulates the brain reward system. Result: more anxiety, more insomnia, less real pleasure. Masturbation, when done in a quiet environment, focusing on touch, breathing, and body sensations, has a completely different effect. She relaxes, balances, calms, but when done in a hurry, guilt, or under the bombing of aggressive stimuli, it generates just the opposite: agitation, dissatisfaction, and hormonal imbalance. The fourth error is not to urinate after ejaculating. This is more serious than it seems. During the sexual act, and this includes masturbation, microorganisms present in the urethra or in the genital region can move towards the bladder. Urine after ejaculation helps wash the urethral canal, significantly reducing the risk of urinary tract infections. After 60, the immune system is no longer so efficient, and any small infection can become a larger problem. In addition, urine helps relieve any residue that has been accumulated, reducing the chance of later discomfort. If you feel burning when urinating or have had episodes of bacterial prostatitis, this little detail may be contributing. The fifth error is the lack of hydration and lubrication. The skin of the genital region, especially after a certain age, tends to become more sensitive and less elastic. When masturbation is dry or with little lubrication, micro skin lesions, blood vessels, and even urethra may occur. This opens doors for inflammation, infections, and continuous discomfort. Using appropriate lubricants, never saliva, kitchen oils, or body creams, is essential to ensure that friction does not hurt. Internal hydration is also fundamental. Drinking little water can make the urine more concentrated and aggressive for the urinary tract, as well as hindering the correct functioning of the glands and tissues that participate in ejaculation. A dehydrated body responds badly, and the reflection may come in the form of sexual dysfunction, pain, fatigue, or recurring infections. The sixth error, very common, is rapid and forced masturbation. Many men, out of hurry, anxiety, or ancient habit, perform the act extremely rapidly, as if it were a race to end soon. This creates a stimulus pattern that directly affects the neuromuscular system of the genital region. The result? Premature ejaculation, loss of sensitivity, and, in the long run, even erectile dysfunction. The body needs time to prepare, to warm, to enter the ideal state of pleasure, and the mind too. When you force this process, the body responds with tension, and constant tension repeated for years becomes dysfunction. In addition, this speed pattern conditions the brain to seek immediate pleasure, which weakens the connection with one's own body and more complete sexual experiences, including a partner. The seventh error may seem contradictory, but it is real: staying in full abstinence for long periods. This can generate prostatic congestion. The prostate is a gland that produces part of the semen, and it benefits from regular emptying. When a man spends weeks or months without ejaculating, prostatic fluid accumulates, which can cause inflammation, sensation of pressure in the pelvic region, discomfort when sitting, and even changes in the urinary jet. In addition, the total lack of sexual activity, including masturbation, can further decrease testosterone levels and negatively affect self-esteem. Of course, it is not about encouraging excess, as we have already said, but the extreme opposite is also problematic. Balance is the key. Maintaining a moderate frequency, respecting the signs of the body, is the best way to keep the prostate healthy, the hormones in balance, and the mind in peace. These are the mistakes that I see the most repeat, day after day, in the stories of men I attend, that I follow, who comment here on the channel, or write me by reporting their symptoms. And perhaps, while you heard each one, you realize that you also commit any, or several. If so, don't blame yourself. Most men have never received such guidance. No one teaches how to masturbate with conscience, much less after 60, but now that you know, it can change. And you can start today. If any of these points made sense to you, comment below. Write the phrase, "I already made this mistake," if you identified with any of the 7, or comment, "Ready to change," if you want to start applying this information in your daily life. Your participation is very important. Besides strengthening our community, you help other men realize that they are not alone. Now that you already know the main mistakes made in masturbation after 60 years, it is time to talk about what really matters. How to correct these habits and turn this intimate moment into something that benefits your health, not harm. Because yes, it is perfectly possible to continue masturbating after 60, with security, pleasure, and responsibility with your body. The secret is to do the right way consciously, regarding the time of your body, your real limitations and needs. Your body needs stimulus, but also rest and balance. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about now. The first thing you need to understand is that the ideal frequency of masturbation is not a rigid rule. But in general, for a man over 60, the ideal is to maintain a frequency between 2 and 3 times a week. This does not mean that masturbating once a day is prohibited, but that your body may not be able to recover as easy as when you were younger. Hormonal production, prostate health, blood circulation is all more sensitive. If you force, your body responds with subtle signs which many people ignore, such as tiredness, lack of desire, pain, inflammation, and even urinary symptoms. So note how you feel the next day. If you wake up annoyed, without energy or discomfort in the pelvic region, maybe your body is asking for a break. That is, more than following a rule, it is listening to the signs your body is giving. Another essential point is the focus on relaxation and emotional well-being. Masturbating should not be an automatic act, made by impulse, anxiety, or boredom. It must be a time of connection with yourself. And this connection is even more important after 60, when the body requires more care, and the emotional begins to directly influence sexual health. So instead of quickly masturbating in the bathroom, in a hurry, as if they were running away from some guilt, how about turning this moment into something more respectful to yourself? Find a peaceful, without interruption environment where you can take a deep breath, be comfortable, and pay attention to what you are feeling. Touch your body calmly, carefully, without worrying about reaching a quick goal. Pleasure is not just in orgasm, but in everything that happens until it reaches it. And when you change the focus of urgency to experience, your mind and body thank you, and your health as well. Now let's talk about something that many ignore, but it makes all the difference: lubrication. Using a good lubricant is one of the simplest and most effective ways to avoid micro-injuries, inflammation, and discomfort. The skin of the intimate region, with aging, tends to become more sensitive and less elastic. This means that friction, which was once tolerated, can now cause damage. And it is no use improvising with moisturizing creams or home products. They can unbalance the pH of the skin and cause unwanted reactions. Water-based lubricants, specific to intimate use, are the most suitable. In addition, lubrication improves sensitivity and helps prolong pleasure, making the moment much more comfortable and pleasurable. Another point that needs to be taken seriously is to replace aggressive visual stimuli with more natural and healthy stimuli. Extreme pornography conditions the brain to unrealistic arousal patterns and, over time, decreases the response to real stimuli. The result is that many men feel less desire in normal situations, with a partner or even alone, if they are not exposed to that kind of exaggerated content. The suggestion here is simple but powerful. Use your imagination. Remember good times in your life, healthy fantasies, situations that make you comfortable emotionally. This strengthens its connection with the body and trains the brain to seek pleasure with less dependence on external stimuli. And for those who like visual stimuli, consider lighter content, less aggressive, that do not cause fault or emotional discomfort after the act. Now, an extremely important step that almost no one speaks: the physical exercises facing the pelvic region, especially Kegel exercises and stretching for the perineum. This muscles, which supports the prostate, bladder, and urinary canal, weakens over time. When you do not strengthen this area, symptoms such as urinary incontinence arise, decreased urine jet force, and even erectile dysfunction. Kegel exercises are simple, can be done anywhere, and help to recover muscle control from the intimate region. It is like going to the gym, only for the inner muscles that no one sees but which are essential to their intimate well-being. And pelvic stretches help to release the accumulated tension, improve circulation, and prevent lower back and lower abdomen pain. If you never practiced, now it's the time. You will be surprised by the benefits. Another fundamental attitude is to urinate before and after masturbation. Not only does this reduce the risk of urinary tract infections, but also helps relieve pressure on the bladder and prostate. When you urine first, prepare the urethral channel to receive the stimulus with less risk of pain. And when urinating later, you clean the waste channel that can be accumulated, which avoids inflammation. This simple practice, made regularly, can avoid persistent discomfort that many men think they are part of aging. But in fact, they could be avoided with this simple habit. And of course, all this needs to be accompanied by good hydration and a balanced diet. It is no use taking care of the moment of masturbation if the rest of your day is full of bad habits. Drinking little water, consuming processed foods, exaggerating alcohol, smoking, all compromises prostate health, semen quality, libido, blood circulation, and hormonal production. So if you really want to change, start with the simplest habits. Take more water, enter anti-inflammatory foods in your diet such as tomatoes, nuts, flax, and green tea, and reduce the consumption of sugar, fried foods, and processed meat. Your body is a complete system and everything is interconnected. A clean diet and good hydration improve not only sexual health, but also the disposition, mood, sleep, and general vitality. And here I want to tell you something that maybe no one has told you yet. You deserve to feel pleasure. You deserve to live this phase of life with health, energy, with balance. Masturbation, when done with consciousness, can be a powerful ally of male health. But like everything in life, it needs balance. Not too much, not even less. Neither automatic nor guilty, neither hidden nor ignored. It needs to be integrated into your life in a mature, respectful, and healthy way. And from now on, with this knowledge, you can do that. You can change your habits, strengthen your body, reconnect your mind with your pleasure, and make this practice something that helps you, not that gets in the way. If this content is making sense to you, comment below with the phrase, "I will change my habits." And if you have felt that this conversation is helping you to see your intimate health otherwise, it also comments, "Knowledge is freedom." Your participation is fundamental. It not only strengthens the channel, but inspires other men to do the same. After all, many carry doubts, fears, and harmful habits without even knowing. And when one starts to speak, many start to wake up. If you got here, congratulations. This shows that you are really committed to your health, your well-being, and your vitality after the 60s. And this is the first step for a more balanced, more conscious, and much better quality life. Now I want to make a special invitation. Subscribe to the channel right now. Here we speak clearly, without taboo, and based on serious information on prostate health, conscious masturbation, testosterone, energy, libido, disease prevention, and everything that involves male health and maturity. If you want to keep learning and taking care of yourself in the right way, this is your place. And if you stayed with me until the end of this video, comment below, "I take care of my health." Write this in the comments for me to know that you are committed, and also to show other men who are not alone on this journey. Your comment can inspire other people to change too. Oh, and don't forget to leave the like now. If this video helped you, if it has opened your eyes to things you didn't know, click on the like. It shows YouTube that this content is relevant and helps spread the message to more men who need this information. And before you leave, watch the next video that is appearing on your screen now. He complements everything we talk about here and will further deepen his knowledge about prostate health and how to maintain his virility even after 60. We see each other there in the next video. Go there and keep taking care.